All right, I will start us off then. So greetings, everyone, and welcome to the United in Sustainability Network's second quarter network call. Time goes by fast. I'm Liz Philippe, and I am the Senior Manager of Impact and Media Relations at UNFCU and serve on the Global Sustainability Program as the External Relations Program Manager. Uh, really delighted to have everybody here. I trust you all had a reflective, action-oriented, hopeful Earth Day last month, and you're looking forward to World Environment Day coming up on June 5th. We are too. So in the spirit of environmentalism, social and economic justice, climate risk mitigation, adaptation, and the positive ripple effect that we can all have in our communities and in our world, welcome to our call. We have so much to cover, so many best practices and ideas to share. And again, really a privilege to be with you all convening once again. So we'll take a deep dive, just as a quick review of the agenda, into resources that are available to you to start or advance your sustainability journey. We'll debut some of them here. They're free and online and really just very helpful in guiding your way forward. We'll hear about findings from our plastics working group. Very exciting news on that front. Started recently and has already made a lot of headway. We'll also discuss leveraging social media, something I know we're all into, but how are we doing this with our sustainability initiatives? And how can we help each other to raise awareness about the work that we're doing and build momentum going forward throughout our industry? So we have a lot to cover. Welcome your feedback in the chat. You can come off mute during the Q&A. Happy really just to get your input. What are your challenges? What are you doing? So this is the forum that we provide here, a platform just to level set. For those of you who may not know, UNFCU launched this network back in 2018, really right after our first United in Sustainability Summit. So we had a lot of great questions. People are saying, what are you going to do next? So we kept things moving along, organized, and we've seen the growth of this network and really appreciate your great interest in it. We are really just getting word out in terms of collaboration and being that choir of voices for our industry, working with suppliers, and you'll be hearing a little bit more about that too. So in convening, we again invite you to share what you're doing. We really want to hear this. Just looking forward as well to giving you more insight about what's coming up for the network and our impact report as well. So I would now like to introduce Ema Gordon. Ema is the first Vice President of Global Impact and Inclusion at UNFCU. She's also the Executive Director of the UNFCU Foundation. Ema's going to just provide some opening remarks, and she does so much to guide the movement that we have here at the network and then through UNFCU as well. Prasad Serpanini also will be joining us. He's the executive co-sponsor, Pam Agnone, also a guiding force, as well as our president and CEO, John Lewis, and the board. So Ema, over to you, and welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much, Liz, and welcome to everyone. I really won't stay long. I just wanted to say it's so wonderful to see you all. Thank you for joining us. We don't take it lightly that you've taken time out of your busy schedules to join us, to share with us, and to learn with us. We have a wonderful program that's been done by the team. Thank you to Liz and Tom and Patrick and Sophia. They've put together a great program for you, and I'm excited to hear what we have in store. So with that, I think I'm turning it to Tom. Thanks,
everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Ema. And again, hello, everyone. And as I'll reiterate everything that Ema said, thank you for joining us and thank you for your participation. It's great to be here again with you. As Ema mentioned, we're always thrilled to have special guests on these network calls. And today is no different. Today we have the UN Global Compact and the UN Global joining us. And the UN Global Compact has particularly special meaning to UNFCU. We became members back in 2010, signatories, and their best practices and tools and support have really guided our progress to this point. Whether it was our public commitments or tools like their SDG Action Manager, which is a really fantastic online private self-assessment tool. I think we'll cover a little bit of that today, but that really helped us understand, even for you and FCU, the gaps in our policies, our guidelines, and our practices. And I can recall thinking we were very advanced when we began to take the self-assessment. And it really helped us uncover some blind spots, helped us realize, for example, that we needed to formalize our position on human rights and as a really foundational to our sustainability journey. And it really also helped us guide our vendor and supplier sustainability surveying, which is an initiative I lead here at UNFCU. And so against that backdrop, I'm really thrilled to introduce a key member of the UN Global Compact team and share insights on the UN Global Compact's capabilities and how to develop an advance that can help you develop and advance your own sustainability journey and strategy. And with us today is Alyssa Cortez Peralta, and she is the Engagement Associate at the UN Global Compact Network in the USA. The UN Global Compact, if you don't know, is the largest sustainability initiative in the world with over 24,000 members globally. In her role, Alyssa conducts operational functions for the engagement team and supports communication with companies. Before joining the network, Alyssa was a community organizer in the New York City Fair Trade Coalition. She gained experience in corporate sustainability working at ESGX, a startup focused on emerging sustainable technologies and ESG solutions. Alyssa holds a BA in economics and a minor in sustainable business from Fordham University, as does our own Liz Philippe. So they're Rams. At Fordham, Alyssa focused on the role of international public policy sustainability while serving as a global ambassador in Granada, Spain, and as a research assistant. Additionally, Alyssa founded Alta Vista, a boutique consultancy aiding companies flourish in sustainability, organization, and project management. So it's our real pleasure to welcome you, Alyssa, and great to have you join us. Please.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And I'm really excited to here today to talk more about the UN Global Compact, and just extremely grateful for UNFCU for giving me this opportunity to give you more information about the Global Compact, as well as the plethora of tools and resources that we have open for anyone, regardless of their participant. So I'm going to jumpstart that presentation. I'm going to share my screen. Just want to make sure, can everyone see my screen?
We can see it, yes.
Great. So I'm here to talk about the UN Global Compact today. And before, I like to give a quick history of the UN Global Compact. As you heard, it is the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative. However, this started off in a speech in 1999 by then Secretary General Kofi Annan, where he called for business leaders and the United Nations to come together in a global compact of shared values and principles. Shortly after this speech, a group of CEOs said, this is an amazing idea and this is something we should implement. So with that, in 2000, the UN Global Compact was formed, and it was first formed under 4 areas of focus: human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. And under these 4 areas, we have 10 principles. Later in 2015, when the 17 Sustainable Development Goals were created, we then also implemented these Sustainable Development Goals into our mission. And I like to say that the UN Global Compact is the only formal mechanism in which corporations are able to adhere to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And we're also, I would say, the formal translators, right? The Sustainable Development Goals were created by government for government. However, we are the translators of how corporations can take action. And then more a bit about the UN Global Compact. It is a voluntary initiative by corporations as well as some non-business entities, and it is a way for businesses to commit to these 10 principles as well as the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It is the way to adhere, convene, and learn about our principles and our goals. And as previously mentioned, we have over 24,000 participants, and these participants come from over 160 countries. We also have 70 plus local networks. So I personally come from Local Network USA. We have these local networks so that companies are able to get country-specific and issue-specific information and programming. The US corporate landscape is going to be different from the corporate landscape in China, India. So we really give that bespoke programming to our participants. Now, with that being said, as the Global Compact, we're able to help our participants drive impact on specific goals, scale ambitious action, make measurable progress. And I will specifically focus on how we're able to help participants learn, and as well as the tools and resources that are available to anyone, regardless if they are participants or not. And the different ways that we are engaged, we have the ability for participants to connect. So this is either connecting with peers in their industry or outside their industry, companies around similar size, and talk about emerging sustainability topics. Also a ability to connect with UN officials and government officials. This is either through the General Assembly. In July, we'll be having our high-level political forum. And then as well with the General Assembly, we have a private sector forum at the General Assembly. I will specifically be focusing on ways that participants and non-participants can learn. We also have the ability for participants to be leading in the change. We have an initiative called Forward Faster, but I will leave that for later. And then we also have the ability for participants to clearly communicate where they are going with their sustainable development goals and where they, I guess, the actionable steps they've been taking in the past year. Now, to get to the bread and butter of the UN Global Compact, there is many resources for learning. I would say that our sharpest tool in our system is the ability where we're able to allow professionals to gain knowledge and skills to make real impact in their sustainable development goals and in the 10 principles. So first, starting out, I will be going back before the presentation and then a real live session on my computer of these resources. We do have a library. So in our library, just want to make sure, can everyone see the other screen? Perfect. So in our library, again, these are resources open to anyone. We have the ability for you to go through issues. So we have human rights, labor, global governance. However, for this audience, I would say that sustainable finance is the most relevant. And here we have a list of different reports that we've done either in collaboration with other organizations or other companies. And this just goes through different ideas and themes that are arising in sustainable finance. And I really do encourage anyone to just take a look and see what we have. I personally, on my free time, love to go through the library and see all the amazing reports that we've, written in conjunction with other organizations that are leading in the space of sustainable finances or in, like you said, in human rights. And then another of our tools are a lot of more tangible ones that you can actually see where you're at on sustainability, on the 10 principles, and those are the ones I'm going to be focusing more on. Previously it was stated that we do have a SDG Action Manager, which is honestly crazy that we were able to make this, and I find it just so fascinating because there is so much information and so much tools and resources that are given for you to really track. So just a little bit of information about our SDG Action Manager. This was created in collaboration with B Corp. It is now fully managed by B Corp, but it is an assessment tool for companies to understand where they're currently at with the SDGs, the 10 principles, as well as the B impact assessment. So you'll get to see where you're at, where you have the most potential for impact and growth. You can also take accountability of, okay, what goals do I want to set? We have those tools there in the specific SDG Action Manager. And an amazing thing about this tool is that you're able to download reports of where you were before and where you have, or where you have made progress in and what goals you have achieved throughout the history. So I will go more into depth. So when you go on to the Action Manager, And when you first sign up, sorry, there's a lot of different tabs on this tool. You'll be given information about your market, your company size, your sector, your industry, and just more information about your industry. And once you've filled out that questionnaire, you'll then be led to 5 different SDGs, which you have the most potential for impact. And of course, you'll be able to learn more information and where you can make progress on the remaining 12. But in the 5 that are given to you as most impactful, you're going to get more of what you can specifically do based on your industry. So when I made a test for this, I did do credit union, so it would be more specific and tailored to your industry. You'll first start with a module, and each SDG, you'll fill out a questionnaire, and you'll just start going through questions, and they'll be quite extensive, but based on your answers, you'll then receive a score. And this overall score tells you where you are at currently. And what I love is that there's also benchmarks. We'll go to the benchmarks. Here we go. So you can see all of them. You'll see benchmarks. It's actually, sorry, it's a very complicated tool, but there's so much information here. We'll just stick with the in general guidelines, but you'll see in benchmarks, so you'll be able to have all this information for all the 17 goals. You'll see how you're doing in comparison to your country, your sector, and your company size. From there in the modules, as you're filling out these questions, you'll receive more information of actionable steps you can take to progress in that specific SDG. And then from there, what you can do is you can actually create goals and how to make goals specifically in that SDG. And in this action manager, you can go see where your goals are, which ones you have in progress, which ones have been completed. And as you have more time and more history using this tool, you'll be able to go to your improvement report. Of course, I haven't been able to give too much information, but had I had maybe years or just even a few months, I can be able to download this report and you'll be able to see that real progress from beginning to end. And the last thing I'll say specifically about this tool, it is amazing. It's a collaborative tool. It's not just a single user. So you can share with different team members. You can work on this together. So if I wanted to, I can send this over to a colleague of mine and we can work on this together. I think it is a great way for have an entire company engaged in understanding where they are at with their SDGs. Now, with that being said, we have another tool that I really personally love because I have a specific interest in supply chains. It's called the Decent Work Toolkit for Sustainable Procurement. And this tool was specifically made for procurement professionals in mind. And it is a perfect way for these professionals to understand sustainable, socially sustainable solutions within their supply chains. And they're able to understand really how their purchasing power and their purchasing decisions have a real influence and impact in decent work and labor solutions throughout their global supply chains. And like I said, many of these tools kind of feel like you're in university and you're getting a crash course. This is very much the same with this specific toolkit. You'll get a in-depth understanding of supply chains and what procurement means, the risk when you don't take socially sustainable solutions in mind, and the benefits of when you do. You'll also receive case studies of when this was implemented and how this really influenced the bottom line of the entire company, as well as their global supply chains. And you also receive at the end more case studies to do further reading. And then if you'd like to even go further, we do provide a list of e-courses that we recommend to get a more in-depth understanding. Another tool that is great for any organization of any size is our Women Empowerment Principles Gender Gap Analysis tool. It is a mouthful. However, it was made in collaboration with UN Women, and similarly to the SDG Action Manager, it is a set of questions, and then from those questions, you are receiving real feedback of where your company has strengths in gender equality, where the strengths are, where the gaps are, as well as the areas of improvement. And when you take this questionnaire, what I love about this tool is that it's not just on leadership and strategy, but it's also on the workplace, marketplace, and the community. And after you take this tool, you'll also be, you'll be recommended where you can make more efforts and where you have room for growth. You'll also be led to different resources. Again, it's an amazing tool. With all of our tools, it's not just here's the action and where you can take the actions, but it's also here's more reading, here's more ways you can learn, and you can understand fully what this means for your company. Another thing I will say is that with all these tools, it was made in consultation with companies in mind. So for example, with the WEP Gender Gap Analysis tool, we consulted 170 business professionals. At the UN Global Compact, we really, really pride ourselves on being that translator on our 10 principles and on the Sustainable Development Goals, because sustainability, DEI, that can get very, very filled with jargon. It can be a bit confusing if you're on the corporate side, but we want to be the main translators and the main person that you fall back onto when trying to navigate this space. Lastly, I would like to highlight our academy. So our academy is a catalog of just really in-depth courses. We have a specific academy platform for our participants. However, even if you are not a participant, you have the ability to access a list of courses that are open to everyone. And these courses are actually constantly being updated. For example, the How Will Gen AI Change Sustainable Business was actually 2 weeks ago. This is currently constantly being updated. And even if you're not a participant and you just get access to these courses, although limited, they're great. And when you do become a participant, you get lists or you get access to even more specific courses. So I personally took a course on greenhouse gas emissions. And not only did it explain what's the science of GHG emissions, but it explained to how to track scope 1, 2, 3, as well as the actionable steps that a company can make. So I will be sharing this entire deck with everyone at the very end as a PDF form. So no worries to need to scramble on these different links. You will be able to access them. Sorry, I'm having a bit complications with my presentation, but I will just move forward. The last thing I would like to say, again, these are open resources for anyone I guess it does not want to move forward. However, we are having a list of webinars specifically at Local Network USA. One that we recently had on Tuesday was on the topic of doing business with the UN, and we had our guest speaker, Ambassador Liu, also be present at this webinar. And in the future, we're going to be having a webinar series called Navigating Changing Corporate Sustainability Expectations. And this will be about a series of 5 different webinars that goes through reporting, CSRD, and the changing landscape of DEI initiatives in relevance to last year's Supreme Court ruling. These, again, are all open to participants and non-participants if your company would just like to get an overview and a further understanding of the forever changing landscape of sustainability. The last thing I'll say is that we do have accelerators and peer learning groups for our participants only. I can go into more depth into that later. However, I know that we wanted to leave some time for Q&A. I do apologize if you could not understand me fully and wanted to grab all the information of our free resources and tools, but I'd love to bring this time to do a Q&A so that you can ask questions, further clarification. I love to provide that for you all.
Thank you, Alyssa. Does anyone have any questions? You can also enter them in the chat if you're prefer to do it that way. Not, I do think we got some questions ahead of time that we could deal with. Let's take a quick look around the chat. Oh, Carly. Oh, no, I see it. Just a.
No, I actually had a question.
Oh, you do have a question.
Of course.
Wrong. So I'm particularly interested in the tools around sustainability and suppliers. If you don't mind going back to that
Yes,
slide.
Yes, so it is called the Decent Work Toolkit for Sustainable Procurement. And again, this is open to anyone. And it specifically goes into case studies of when companies did take action and understanding of, okay, where are our suppliers at right now? What are the risks that are involved? And where are different avenues where we can change suppliers or work with our suppliers to make sure that they are adhering to socially responsible ways of connecting with their labor force. I absolutely love this tool because it gives you a quick rundown of what is decent work and why is it important, as well as these case studies. And then also we have the specific e-courses. And again, like all of our tools, this was made in consultation with real procurement professionals, as well as academics, as well as organizations that specialize in supply chains.
Okay, so I'm assuming the e-courses like take you through best practices, that type of thing. So we'd be able to leverage that. Okay.
Yes. And then also on our academy, specifically, if you were, well, you are a participant of the Global Compact, I really do encourage to look up human rights and labor, because that goes specifically into the supply chains and how procurement professionals can get a better understanding of what that means for their supply chains and just human rights and labor rights at large.
Thank you.
That my ears perked up there too. I don't know if anyone heard in the beginning that a lot of the UN Global Compact work really influenced our supplier sustainability processes. And I was always hoping Carlene would ask you to open up that gender lens question there, because I thought that was something we are also integrating, like the general sustainable practices around supply chain, along with the encouraging a diverse supply chain. So much of the information from the Global Compact helped guide some of that, and I love the kind of focus on risk, because that's how we kind of talk about it a little bit as well. I see Sophia has a hand up as well. Sophia.
Hi, yes, a quick question, Alisa. So this tool, is it focused on social or also in environmental effects of the supply chain?
Yes, of course. This specifically will focus on the social and the human rights aspect. However, we are, I think on the academy, I can definitely share this information on the specific environmental. That will be a course that you could definitely find on our academy. And like I said, we are constantly doing more work. Actually, at the Global Compact on the global level, we are looking to provide more programming specifically on the environmental impact of supply chains. So I will definitely send you some more information on our specific academy course that is related to the environmental impacts, and then of emerging tools and programming that we have on the global level.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Alisa.
Yes, thank you, Alyssa. It was really great insights and really helpful resources. Thank you for being here with us today. I now want to turn the program over to my colleague, Saeed Ashraf, who is the deputy on our Global Sustainability Programs engagement team. Over to Saeed to tell us a little bit about the results of the network's recent focus group on plastics reduction in the credit union industry, critical topics at the United Nations as well. So Saeed, take it away, and I'll turn the floor over to you. Yep, and we can see your.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so the plastics call was held in April, and we were really excited to really learn about what our fellow credit unions were doing As far as plastic initiatives, whether they're having discussions within their credit union, whether they were taking action. I must say that we were really blown away by all the all the engagement that we heard about, all the initiatives that we heard about. I want to give out a big shout out to Tim Martin from Boeing Credit Union. Tim shared an incredible story of how Boeing's green team spearheaded a bottom-up approach to find alternatives to plastics, and they continue to engage stakeholders within the organization to find innovative solutions. Our guest speaker and subject matter expert, Christina Salento with Beyond Plastics, also shared insights on environmental and health effects of plastics and quick wins. So here are some highlights of what we discussed. So Beyond Plastics brought a very interesting point forward, which truly, was mind-blowing, and that is that only 9% of plastics truly get recycled, and that number only gets smaller as we start to look at it on a global scale, which is incredible because we take action on a personal level and we are recycling, but at the end of the day, most of that does not actually truly get recycled. So it was a very eye-opening discussion. Another point mentioned was that the negative impact of plastic production is more often felt by marginalized communities due to their proximity to manufacturing plants. Plastics over time, we know plastics are in our oceans, plastics are in landfills, and plastics over time break down into microplastics. And it unfortunately ends up in our food web and ends up causing a myriad of health issues. So, what can we do as a credit union, right? Beyond Plastics recommended the following, which was to educate our staff, educate our members on plastic pollution, and really think about the beyond kind of the upfront cost of finding alternatives, because sometimes that could be a barrier. We may find ourselves thinking, well, plastic alternatives have a higher cost, but sometimes over time, that may kind of weigh itself out. And again, it is doing the right thing for the environment. And then determine what your low-hanging fruits are, within your organization, as far as, perhaps, is it the cafeteria? Is there any, cutleries? Is there any other utensils that could be very quickly changed? And that reduces essentially the plastic footprint within your organization. And then ultimately undertake advocacy training. Beyond Plastics is a great resource for that. They do offer a lot of advocacy training on their end. And so during the call, we also shared what steps UNFCU has taken over the past years. So essentially, UNFCU has taken the approach of developing a single-use plastic inventory. And what we have done was we spoke with our consultant, our sustainability consultant, to determine essentially what is in scope. So when we say single-use plastic, what is in scope? Then we went around to gather the data by partnering with our stakeholders in procurement. They have been very instrumental in helping us getting this data. We then weighed the plastic for its content and essentially created an inventory, which over the past 3 years, we have gathered about 5 years worth of data that has helped us essentially really see that, well, the good news is that our plastic consumption has drastically reduced. Part of it has to do, obviously, with the hybrid environment. We have seen initial spikes in plastic usage because of the pandemic in cleaning supplies. But we have learned that we have our low-hanging fruits that are, something that we can take action on. We can find alternatives and essentially eliminate a huge portion of our plastic consumption through that. So that was a way for us to really find through data where those points are. And so for next steps, we are looking to build on what we have learned. We want to engage the members of the network to share their stories on their plastic journey. We are looking to schedule follow-up calls in Q3, and we hope to find new speakers externally on new subject matter experts, and again, leverage the network to share your stories. So with that, I'll pass the floor back to Liz.
Great, thanks, Saeed. Very interesting findings, and yes, looking forward to hearing more about the next steps in this journey and getting some additional feedback from all of you. With that,
do we have time to answer this one question in the chat, or should we?
With that, yes, there is a question, yes, right from Melinda with regard to the statistics that were presented. Were those headquarters only? Were you looking at branch operations? Saeed, so if you could
That's
define
an excellent question. Yes. So
yes.
So what we have done was we have looked at everything within our direct operations. So we looked at branch data, we looked at our headquarters, we looked at everything. So we reached out to our other areas, which would be the investment centers, something that's like not necessarily within the HQ, but we have reached out to our we had our remote offices overseas. We have reached out there as well to make sure that we are, including an overall picture of what lies within our direct operations.
Sorry, just one more question about payment cards, credit cards, and debit cards.
Yes,
Did you guys consider that? I know that was going to be.
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. So this is something that actually I want to kind of give shout out again to Tim Martin. So he brought this up, that there was questions about credit cards, replacement. We know that there is a lot of plastic in the ocean, right? There is now essentially a way that there is a product whereby you could use plastic that has been recovered from the ocean. However, it's marine plastic. However, it is, I remember there was some questions around durability. So on that, so we're not there as far as doing research on that yet, but there is an option, which is, I believe it's called marine plastic. I can certainly share resources on that after the call. Excellent question.
Very good. Thanks for that. And then we can, continue the conversation and follow up on any additional questions. And certainly feel free to reach us at info@uisnetwork.org. And that's a great resource as well to just continue follow up. And we will also be posting a lot of additional information on the UIS website, if you're familiar with that, United Sustainability Network's website. With the communications channels in mind, we'll just do a segue now to social media. And we are ourselves using LinkedIn for the network. I know we last time on our call had a few people join us, having seen LinkedIn posts to that end. So again, it's an example of sharing information, but just wondered, have any of you, and feel free in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, just tell us a little bit about what you are seeing working in terms of, do you use social media to talk about your community outreach? We did see, again, the Veku Credit Union talking about Earth Day, and we raised awareness about what outreach was taking place for staff engagement. For our part, we ran a series recently on women leaders in sustainability, and some of you on this call took part in that, and just really, again, ways to engage. Does anyone have any insights or challenges there, or anything you would like to share about the use of social media in your organizations? Is that something that you find useful in terms of getting the word out and growing engagement and followers? Any other tools that are useful? And there's of course there's LinkedIn and X, Facebook. We would love to be able to share more of your resources, both on social as well as on the website. So that's just another shout out to you to keep us informed, and we'll post the information and share that. I don't know if some of you may be attending the upcoming Inclusive conference that's taking place in May, next week, actually. We will have a desk, and we are going to ask everyone to take a survey online, quick survey that will give you some an opportunity to give us your input about resources and other tools that you'd like. We'll plant a tree for every survey that's taken, and stop by our booth, take a picture of you, post that to social media if you'd like. Just another way to share what we're doing. We do have a question here from Melinda, right? SECU, she's in North Carolina, uses LinkedIn and Instagram, but it's limited right now. But this seems to be something that she intends to continue to work with. Internal lunch and learns. And the litter sweep posting is coming up. We will look for that, Melinda, to share that. And so, yeah, just as a point of engagement, if you have ideas, please feel free to share those with us. We'd love to, again, continue to raise visibility for your work on social.
I think, Liz, we'd also love to amplify each other's work too. I mean, I think
Yeah, that's
you know,
definitely the key aspect of this, to raise awareness. And
we are debating maybe common hashtags, things along those lines, because
right,
we think the sustainability work and community focus of credit unions is like perfect for social media engagement. We think it's like, so we'll continue that conversation. Okay.
Yes, we will. At this juncture, we'll just go around the Zoom if anybody has any updates or news and information that you would like to share about your work, what's coming up, what challenges you may have. We're all, interested in learning from each other, and that's the point of the network itself. So if there's anything neat that you're doing, anything planned for World Environment Day, or otherwise any other upcoming activities, feel free to share those. We'd love to, again, just to learn and share the best practices and the ideas. Anything anyone would like to share at this time? If not, we'll keep the conversation going online, and again, want to share and post. Well, while you're thinking of that, we will segue over to Sofia Villarreal, who is the program manager for our Global Sustainability Program, to provide us with some updates on the working groups and other news. So, Sofia, over to you. I pass the baton.
Perfect. Thank you, Liz, for that. I would like, before I give a little bit of the updates, would like to ask some questions to Alisa, and they are very related to the updates also. So, speaking of the Global Compact, I was wondering if, in case people are not very familiar, or if maybe I didn't got it, then I don't think it would hurt to repeat the information on how to become a member of the Global Compact. And you also mentioned that there's resources even if you're not a member. So could you help us differentiate a little bit on member, no member, and then the differences in resources?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sophia. So to become a participant, there are 3 requirements. We need your CEO to file a letter of commitment that you are committed to the 10 principles and adhering to these 10 principles, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. Second, if you are listed as a business, there is a financial contribution, and this goes to funding for your programming. And I'll go more into about the resources and tools that we have specifically just for participants and not for just our public use. And then third is a COP. So what COP means in this context, the COP is a communication on progress. So this is a questionnaire that is filled out every year, and it really goes through the 10 principles, the steps that your company is taking. And it is a great way for companies to communicate to the participants at large, so your peers, but as well as to the larger community, as well as this is a questionnaire that's taken and then aggregated, and then the Secretary General himself at the United Nations General Assembly then gives a full rundown of how the UN Global Compact is doing as a whole. And to give you some more context of the tools and resources that are specifically reserved for participants, we have these things called peer learning groups and accelerators. Accelerators are I think they're about 10 weeks programming where they're able to, or your companies are able to have 2 ambassadors come in. We have some in-person sessions, but most of them are going to be virtual, and they are specific on a topic. So this can be an SDG, climate action accelerator, or human rights and labor accelerator, any specific topic. And then you're able to get pretty much like a university course, 10 weeks of really understanding of, okay, where is the starting point, where you're currently doing, and then what ways you can track and make progress. And this is with our programming team. So I will definitely also share information after this call that can be shared out for you. That's the accelerators. Now the peer learning groups are for, okay, you've taken the accelerators, it's the next step. It is the ability for companies to come together and to freely speak about, okay, what are the problems that I'm specifically facing that you might also be facing? And this is facilitated with professionals and those that have expertise in the specific topic. So we will be having a corporate sustainability peer learning group. We just had one on an SDG, so they are topic specific, and it is closed doors, and it is a space where companies can convene to come together to discuss best practices. And I've actually been on one of those in the room, and it's great to hear companies going back and forth, giving each other real advice and talking over what are similar setbacks or similar things that they're facing that are not allowing them to progress. And then you'll have the expert come in and give their own advice and their own just resources that will help them propel them and to continue their journey. There are other things that are just event specific for participants only, and I will share all those, but that is just a quick review of what differentiates our tools for non-participants and participants.
Thank you so much, Elisa. I just wanted to recheck. So as a closing the loop regarding Global Compact, we have created in the United Sustainability Network, and then with UNFCU, we've shared the best practices in a handbook. And the handbook shows these 4 indicators. And this is the reason I asked Elisa about the Global Compact, because one of the indicators is becoming a member of the Global Compact, and it's a best practice that we recommend. So that's one of the indicators. Then the other 3 indicators are energy accountability, so disclosing your scope 1 and 2. The third one is ESG procurement screening, so asking information through surveys to your vendors and suppliers on ESG, and then reducing paper usage. That's the 4th one. And so we're going to be sharing this wonderful resource in coming weeks through our website. And I would also like to share that we are creating working groups per each indicator in the next months. So if you're interested in knowing one of them specifically furthering, or if you have questions or challenges of one, I really recommend that you join us for that work group, and you can freely ask questions and we can share our experience, and other credit unions can also share their own. So I should say too that she can hear my notes. The next working group is at the end of May, and that's going to be the Energy Accountability Work Group. And we are going to be sharing a template similar to the one that we use. So it's great because it's not theory, it's all practical advice that you can actually implement, and it's not generalized for any kind of company. It's actually targeted to credit unions and companies that are very similar in operation to a credit union. So I really advise you to join us, and we'll be sharing the exact dates in following emails. And then also don't want to forget about following up on the plastics topic. We're going to have a second work group on plastics in Q3, where we would discuss further other ideas from credit unions regarding plastic usage and how we can start working on those low-hanging fruits that Said mentioned. So also be in the lookout for that. And finally, but not least, I would like to focus your attention on the summit that is coming up in the fall. So please check your emails. We will be sending the exact dates very shortly, but yeah, so want to keep that motivation and excitement. So with that, if there's any questions, this is the moment. If not, then I'll pass the baton to Prasad. Prasad, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Sophia. What a fantastic meeting, really. I know the time is the most precious of all. We're thankful that you have chosen to participate, spend time with us and participate in this call. Hope you found it worth your time. To be honest, I don't know why we won't. What a fantastic presentation by Alyssa, really. I mean, she went over all the global compact tools, and it's a wealth of information out there for us to really help us in our journeys. And Tom mentioned how these tools have been instrumental in our journey. I think we've been members since 2010. We have used the SDG Action Manager to formulate our goals. As most of you know, we contribute to 14 of the 17 goals. These tools have been invaluable, especially to formulate our human rights statements and the procurement practices. I really urge you to leverage these tool set, and I'm really hoping that you will become the 24,001 member. It's really fantastic, really. And the other thing really is what a fantastic presentation. Syed, he walked us through how he and Tim Martin collaborated in this working group for the plastics. Our basic tenet for the UIS is really collaboration amplifies the impact. We urge you to participate in these work groups, especially the coming one about the energy accountability that Sophia mentioned. We'll be thrilled you can participate in those things, and then the coming work groups as well. We want to learn from each other and make this movement better. And with that, I think we have another UIS network call coming up in September, and look forward for that one as well. And Sophia also mentioned we're actively planning for our summit in the fall. We are looking for presentations. If you have a brilliant idea, if you want a brilliant topic that you want to present on, please reach out. Tom mentioned the email there, info@uisnetwork.org. Please reach out. Let's stay in touch. What a fantastic presentation. What a fantastic meeting. I'm thrilled you all could participate, really. Thank you all. Really appreciate your time. Liz, back to you.
Great. Well, just wanted to thank everyone again on behalf of everyone here at UNFCU. Thank you again for your engagement. We're happy to again share additional information after this event. Look to the website as well, and for news about the summit coming soon. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good rest of the day and evening, and
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Hey, listen, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, Alyssa.